10x return on our advertising. But the reason we were getting such good return on our advertising is because it's really good. It works. And what's funny is right now is we've gone through a cycle of direct mail where it was, for a long time, there was too much junk mail. And we're kind of getting back now to where you can get the attention through direct.
Your software able to identify a CSR who might not be a quote-unquote A player? Or how does that?
Right now it's manual, but we are developing.
All right, welcome to the 8th episode of Expanding Local. Today I'm here with Ryan Fenn, and if you're a home service business, I am almost sure that you've heard of Chirp. Ryan didn't finish high school and decided to plunge straight into working, which I don't think anyone's surprised that not following traditional education worked out for him. He started a window repair business when his first son was born and ended up scaling from 1 location to 9. He established Chirp after the massive success he saw when scaling his windshield business and has been the CEO of Chirp since 2018. Chirp is a platform strategically crafted to streamline messaging and follow-up for home service businesses. The numbers don't lie. Users are seeing a massive increase in recall rates, reviews, customer satisfaction, a bunch of other numbers, but most importantly, ROI. Ryan, thank you so much for coming on, and I'm very excited to talk about Chirp.
Thanks, Will. Appreciate the intro there. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Can you kind of go into, I know I touched on it a little bit in the intro, but kind of how you got to where you are? It seems like you had a struggle and then overcame that, and now you're the CEO of this very successful software. So I'm curious.
Yeah. I've always been entrepreneurial. How old are you, Will? If you don't mind
24.
me asking. 24. Have you always been entrepreneurial?
I've always wanted to be, worked a few jobs and hated it, but
your mind has always been entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I've always been entrepreneurial since I was little. I loved selling things when I was little. I sold sour gumballs in the playground, Crybabies. I'd get them. My mom would buy them at, I think it was Price Club at the time. It's now Costco. She'd give me these sour gumballs, and I'd take them to school and have competitions. If you could eat one without squinting, you could get one for free. But they were so sour that everybody would squint. And if you bought 2, it was 10 cents a piece or 3 for a quarter. So I had a little deal going. And so I've always been entrepreneurial. There was people in my life that I saw that were successful. My dad was a home builder, so he was a business owner. I wouldn't say that he's as entrepreneurial, but more of a builder, contractor mindset. His friend was a, mega successful entrepreneur. So I've always kind of had that mindset, and it's been, kept me from really being able to focus in school. And I was able to. It wasn't an issue of whether or not I could do school. I got good grades when I tried, and but I didn't finish. I bailed out at 16. I sold cars for a while, did some stuff, and went on a mission for my church to the Philippines for a couple of years and learned their language over there. So I speak one of the dialects of the Philippines. And when I got back, just did various sales related things. Sold cars, sold alarms, sold pest control, sold everything that everybody in their 20s sells. And when I got married, I married my wife Lonnie, and we had a son. And that's when things got really serious, right? Because you have a kid now, and it's like you could live off of what you make before, no problem. But once you have a wife and a kid to feed, it's a totally different game. You got to get serious. And that's when I started the windshield repair business. I actually was working for a guy doing it initially, and he was like this shady dude. It sucked because he had a really good business, and I just was always so surprised that somebody would take such a good opportunity and then ruin it by being dishonest. And we operated at car washes, so cars would come through to get washed, and then when they're in the vacuum area, we would dry their windshields, and in the process we'd be looking for chips in the windshield, like small cracks, And if we found one, we would just say, hey, while you're vacuuming out your car, we can actually fix this so it doesn't spread across the windshield. And we'd fix these chips right there on the spot. It's a really good service because it would keep people from having to replace their whole windshield. And the problem is this guy, insurance will cover these windshield repairs. They'll pay you to do them. So we'd make like $60 to do a repair. But this guy, what he would do is once he got the insurance information, he would then start faking. He'd process false claims later. And once I found that out, I realized I couldn't work for him anymore because I was like, man, I'm not gonna screw people over. That's lame. And I was just surprised because we were making a ton of money out of these car washes. And so I said, well, guy's a loser. I'm gonna bail on him and start my own and do it honestly, right? And I didn't have the luxury of the car washes. I didn't have a place, a constant, steady stream of leads. And so the first thing that came to mind was just like go to door. And door to door is very effective, but it sucks. Everybody knows it sucks. Even the people that say they love it, they're liars. But we would go door to door because I had to do what I had to do. And it wasn't until I went door to door like for a few months, and I was making pretty good money. I'd make like 3 or 4 repairs a day. It's like $200-$300 a day, and if you add that up, it's pretty good like income. It's livable, especially when you're a young family apartment. And I was down in California. We went through the summer doing that basically, and then the winter was coming along. I was like, man, I do not want to do windshield repair. I don't want to knock doors in the winter in Utah. It's pretty cold. And my brother and I went down to California to see my parents for Thanksgiving. And while we were there, we saw somebody doing windshield repairs at a gas station. And what they were doing was, as people would come in, they would offer to wash their windshield and check for chips in the windshield. And I was like, dang, man, that's probably a lot of cars coming through. That's probably a really good lead source. So when we went back to Utah after Thanksgiving break, I went to this gas station right near my apartment, went into the guy, said, hey, this is what we want to do. And he was immediately receptive. It's really cool. He's like, yeah, let's give it a shot. And like, it was really great. Like we went the first day, we did like 15 repairs out of the gas station the first day that we were there. Wow. And 15 times $60 a repair is nearly $1,000. And we were just like, dude, we're going to be rich. We were like super stoked. And so we figured like that was great. And now it was like, not only did we have this great location that was producing windshield repairs, we also knew that there were, hundreds of gas stations that we could go approach and start scaling. And we got into several different gas stations. And then a guy from a dealership, like a Toyota dealership, came through and he's like, hey, we have cars coming in all day for oil changes and different service. Why don't you have somebody there checking for chips there? So then we get into the Toyota dealership, and then the Nissan dealership, and then the Honda dealership, and the Hyundai, and we kept stacking dealerships, and then we got into like 9 dealerships, and it was growing really, really great. Hundreds of repairs a week, and that's when I got in 2000. That was like 2014, 10 years ago now. Jeez. And I got the idea at that point. It was like, okay, I want to expand. Like, I want to go huge, right? I've you're never satisfied. You can be content and happy, but never satisfied with the amount of work you're doing. And so, it's either scale and continue to get into more dealerships, or I always loved online marketing, digital marketing. Had some experience in it before, kind of testing things out, affiliate marketing stuff. And so I got the idea to build a course, the how to start and run your own windshield repair business. So for me, I'm way more passionate about like entrepreneurship, talking with people about entrepreneurship, teaching, inspiring young kids to be entrepreneurs. Like I love it. And so I thought this was a cool way for me to kind of nurture that and coach people who want to start their own business. And so I built a website. I built a course, like a video course on how to do windshield repairs, how to build the insurance companies, how to find a location like a gas station, a dealership, a car wash, all the different things that I was doing to be successful in my windshield repair business. And you could buy that course for $2,000, and it came with equipment and coaching and all this stuff, all the videos and everything, the software. We partnered with the software company that did the insurance claims and all that. And I started selling that using Facebook ads. And the Facebook ads would run, the leads would come in, and I would text the leads. And I would text them a link to watch a video, like, hey, watch this video that explains the opportunity. And that like killed. Like we did hundreds of thousands of leads coming through. We were getting the leads for like $1 a lead. So we spent like $200,000 or $300,000 on marketing, and we made like $2 million. We had like 10x return on our advertising. But the reason we were getting such good return on our advertising is because we were nurturing the leads very effectively using text messaging. Everybody else was using email, and we were texting leads, and it was just crushing it, And still being the entrepreneur, I'm like, okay, how do I take this and go even bigger than that, And so the idea there was, well, if this text messaging process is working for me, it'll probably work for other businesses. And so that's when I got the idea for Chirp. I had kind of been piecing together different softwares and kind of figuring out this funnel. And so I went to a friend. I told you my dad's friend was a successful entrepreneur. I went to him and I said, hey, I have this idea for this software. Excuse me. I want to start this software. And he said, sure. I'll give you some money to start it, but you're going to have a problem finding an engineer. And I talked to you, Will, earlier about mindset and the importance of mindset when it comes to entrepreneurship. And that was a difficult moment in my life because I had somebody saying, hey, I'm willing to invest quite a bit of money into your business, but I didn't have an engineer. I didn't have somebody lined up. And so it was like, oh, shoot. It was kind of like defeating. It was like, dang, I did all this work to get him excited, and I wasn't thinking about this other hard part. And he said, it's going to be really hard. But I didn't give into those feelings, those negative feelings of giving up, And I talk about this a lot because I'm religious. I like to follow. I believe God is there to help us and guide us, and He wants us to be successful and happy and fulfill our potential as human beings. And man, I got this. That night I had this thought, and I was like, man, I wonder if Kevin, a friend of mine from like 10 years ago, an older guy I knew him from church from like 10, 15 years ago. And he had retired. He was a software engineer, and he had retired and moved away. I hadn't seen him in like 10 years. And I go, I wonder if he's interested in, programming, because I don't program. I don't know software. And I message him, and he goes, yeah, call me tomorrow. I'm busy today. He bought a general store out in Vermont, and like retired out there, and was like running this little like store that sold like it was a touristy area, and people would come through on their snowmobiles. So he sold like food and snacks, and like it was just like a little mercantile general store. And I call him up, and he's like, Ryan, I've been running this store for 8 years, and I'm so sick of it. And in the last 3 months, I've been praying for an opportunity to start programming again. And I'm like, oh, dang, this might be the answer to your prayer. And so he immediately jumps in and starts programming Chirp. And within about 6 months, we had what we call an MVP in the business, minimum viable product. We started selling it, and we were selling it to just anybody. It was like text messaging to help you sell more. So we'd sell to real estate agents and even restaurants and food trucks and any kind of business that came along. And we struggled for about 3 years to try to figure out like who needed this product the most and who would buy it. And a carpet cleaner and an HVAC guy came along, and they started using it. They showed us how they needed to integrate with House Call Pro, Service Titan. And so we built those integrations, and that's when things just really took off. And that's now that's where we're at today. So, I've been talking on for quite a minute there. So that's the story.
Yeah, you just completely explained where you came from. That was the question. So how have things changed when it comes to follow-ups? And I know Chirp isn't just a text platform. You guys are working on a lot of different things. How have things changed since you first launched your course? What have you learned? What should people be doing going into 2025?
Yeah, so follow-up is obviously the name of the game here. And when it comes down to it, what we offer and what Chirp offers is enhanced lead conversion. So we're not a text platform. We're not an email platform. We're a lead conversion platform, right? So whatever is needed to help you convert more leads, that's what we're going to focus on building. It just so happens that right now, text messaging is the most powerful way to communicate with people. That may change in the future, but we all know it. Like, if you want to get a hold of somebody, texting is the way to go. And so we automate text message to make sure that we are following up consistently with leads that are coming in. We're all spending a lot of money on marketing, whether that's digital marketing, billboards, signs on our trucks, wraps on our trucks, all this stuff to get people to get their attention. And what I hate to see is that people focus all this effort and energy and money on generating a lead, but then they're not doing everything they can to convert that lead into a lifelong customer. And they're missing that part of the puzzle. And the problem with that is, and especially as we get more and more saturated, maybe isn't the right word, but as more and more money from like private equity groups comes into home service, leads are only going to get more and more expensive because guys that run private equity groups, they have patient money. They're willing to wait a year or two to be profitable or longer. They're not worried about spending more money to get customers. Whereas a mom and pop shop they've got to make their profit right now to feed their family. They're not going to be able to spend as much money as a private equity group to get a customer. And so leads are just going to get more and more expensive. And so if you're not doing everything you can to convert and to make sure that you are maximizing, every lead that comes through, you're going to get gobbled up by these beasts out there. And so we look at every step of the customer journey, and we look at ways that we can increase. And it's really important, this is another mindset thing, it's really important that we are looking at the high-level KPIs along the funnel, and then tracking those things so that we can see, okay, I'm getting X number of leads, X number of those leads are turning into an estimate, X number of those estimates are turning into a job, X number of those jobs are turning into a review, X number of those reviews are turning into, a lifelong customer. These percentages along the way, because if we can't see them, we can't know what to improve on. And so it's really important that you can see your metrics. I'll give you a story about, actually, this goes back to the windshield days. When we were in the gas stations and we're washing windshields, we weren't tracking anything at first. We just washed windshields and look for chips. And if we found one, we'd say, hey, there's a chip. Do you want to get it fixed? And there would be days where we'd be like, dang, man, I have been just washing windshields all day and I have not got very many sales. And we'd get discouraged, right? And we wouldn't know what to do. It wasn't until somebody taught me the importance of tracking that we were able to start to see where to improve. So what we did is we got a sheet of paper and we printed out a grid of 100, like a 10 by 10 grid on the sheet. And as we would wash cars, we would mark each square represented a car that pulled into the gas station, right? And so a car would pull in. If we washed the windshield and there was no chip, we would just check the box, like we washed the windshield. If there was a chip, but we did not like offer them the service, like let's say we saw it, but we chickened out and we didn't like pitch them, we would put an X. And then if there was a chip and we did pitch them, and they didn't close, we would put a P. And then if they closed, we'd put a C. Okay, so 4 KPIs, right? How many cars we saw, how many had chips, how many we pitched, and how many we closed. Does that make sense? Am I making sense so far?
Yeah, I love that.
And now from there, I could figure out my percentages. And I could say, okay, I saw 100 cars today. 25 of them had chips, and I closed 5 deals, right? And so now I could say, okay, so I have a 25% of all cars coming through are going to have a chip on them. I know that. If I pitch X number, if I pitch 5 of them, I'm going to close 1 deal. And so now I could look at these percentages and I could say, and especially as we start to hire people, I could look at somebody and say, hey, you saw 25 cars, but you only closed 2 deals. So now we know there's a problem with how you're pitching, how you're selling, right? Or if somebody came in and they said, we had a guy come in and go, hey, I saw 100 cars today, but I only saw 5 chips. I'd say, hey, look, and you closed 1. You closed 1 in those 5. Great, you have a good close rate, 25% or 20%, but you're not spotting, you're not seeing enough opportunity. And so then we'd help them look. And without those numbers, I couldn't know what was wrong with the sales guy. Does that make sense? I couldn't know if his pitch was bad. I couldn't know if if he wasn't looking at enough cars, if he wasn't spotting the opportunities. And so those numbers empowered me to make decisions in the business to say, hey, this is what you need to do. And so I bring this all up because it's really important that if we are going to be spending money on advertising, whether it's on Facebook or whatever, we need to know what is the problem. Okay, so if I have 100 leads come in and only 1 books an appointment, there's a problem in the funnel between the leads and the appointment, right? If 100 leads come in, 25 of them book, but I only close 1, there's a problem with the pitch. There's a problem with the sales guy and what he's saying or how he's doing. And so I can now determine what the problem is with my funnel. And each time I go through that exercise and look at each thing, once I've got them all nailed and go, okay, all my numbers are really good, I can start over and go, how can we make them even better? And I can start over and how can we make them better? And so on until we are perfect. And no business is ever going to be perfect. And so it's a never-ending process until you have 100% close rate on 100% of your leads. On 100, there's always room to be better and better. So it's really important, and I'm kind of going on and on this sort of tangent, but the purpose is to drive home the point of what's important when it comes to digital marketing, so that sure, we can look at a million different things and go, that I tried that didn't work. I tried that didn't work. I tried that. It's like, did it not work, or did you just not determine what the problem was and then fix that problem? Like people will say, oh, Facebook leads suck. I tried Facebook advertising. They suck. I couldn't close the deals. And it's like, well, other guys are doing it. So why do they suck? If other guys can do it, why do they really suck? Is it just that you suck at selling? Or is it that your ad sucks? Or is it that your funnel is broken where they're coming through and they're not landing on the right page? And so you have to be able to break down within your business what are the various KPIs and how you can improve them, okay? So when you say, you ask the question like what's important now? Well, right now, let's talk about speed to lead. One of the ways that you can fix lead conversion right out of the gate is making sure that you're contacting leads very, very quickly. Studies show, this is done by Salesforce, I think. Salesforce is a major CRM, millions of customers and millions of form fills and data. The data shows that if we don't contact leads that request information within 1 minute, we have a very small chance of a much smaller chance of converting them. And so if somebody's on your website, they fill out a form or an Angie lead or a Facebook lead form or whatever it is, If we don't contact them in 1 minute, they're going to move on to the next guy, especially in a commoditized industry like HVAC or something where they have other options, right? They can go somewhere else. They can just go to the next guy on Google, right? And so we've got to contact leads very, very quickly. So that's one KPI you can look at. Are you contacting leads in 1 minute? And we use automation to do that. Lead comes in, text message goes out to that customer. Hey, thanks for requesting information. You know, what and then you just start the conversation. Like, if you're HVAC, you can ask a question like, you know, is there something wrong with your air conditioner, or, you know, whatever it is you want to start that conversation. Same with abandoned calls. Somebody calls, we miss the call because we're on a job or our CSR is busy or whatever it is, we miss that call. They hang up. If we text them within a minute, we have a much better chance of them not picking up the phone and calling somebody else. Hey, sorry I missed your call. Here, click this link to book, or I'll call you back in just a minute. And they can click and book, or you can, and then if they wait, you can call them right back. But that alone, you know, I was just at Tommy Mello's, if you know who Tommy Mello is.
Of course
I was down at A1 Garage last week, and we were working on the abandoned call campaign. They implemented abandoned calls, and in their first month of implementing abandoned calls, we did $800,000 in additional revenue. And you think about that, and you think, well, Tommy Mello, A1 Garage, that's the biggest garage door company in the country. They make the most money. They've got their systems figured out and dialed. It's like, no. Even those guys are looking for ways to improve and increase conversion rate. So like I said, until you're to 100%, you should be looking for ways to improve your customer journey and improve your conversion rates. Don't look at yourself and say, oh, I have an 80% conversion rate, I'm crushing it. Say, ooh, I've got 20% unconverted. I have 20% of opportunity to figure out how I can do better. So those are a couple of things. There's lots more, but you know, I want to turn it back to you for a second if that's answering your questions. But
Of course. So when it comes to abandoned calls, is there any differentiation between someone who calls and then hangs up immediately? Like, I feel like there's different reasons than someone who might call for 8 seconds and then they don't get a pickup and then they just call the next company. Do you guys vary the follow-up with that, or how does that
no,
work?
because it's so inexpensive to just it's sometimes you look at the cost of following up and you say, okay, to determine what that call was would cost me more time and effort than it would just be to send the text message to them. And so there are times where you just look at things and go, like some guy goes, well, what if it's a landline? I don't want to send a landline a text message. Well, it costs money for the system, for any system, to determine if it's a landline or a text message. And it costs about the same as a text message. So you kind of just look and go, let's just send everybody the text that does it. And if it doesn't get delivered, it doesn't get delivered. It costs us less than it does to try to figure out, you know. So you look at these various things within that and just determine what's more cost effective in the follow up. But on abandoned calls, if somebody calls and we miss it, we're going to attempt to follow up. And if it's a scammer or if it's, you know, whatever, it's like, so what? They're not going to text you back, you know. So
Yeah. And so
yeah.
with reviews, I feel like I always recommend my clients, they have their like technician right when the job is finished, like ask for the review in person on the spot. How are people using Chirp to maximize the amount of reviews they're getting, not just to their Google business profile, but maybe like Yelp, whatever external platform?
Well, let's talk about we're talking about the customer journey, and so, you know, each step of the way has its different points, but each thing should be used to, you know, persuade an outcome, right? We're trying to get people to become raving fans of us, and so it's not just let's text them at the end of the job and ask for a review. We want to be thinking of reviews from the moment that they've submitted their information, right? And so we do kind of what we call seeding, and we're planting ideas along the customer journey that make the customer go, you know, subconsciously prepare for a review, okay? So what does that mean? Well, when somebody books, what you can do, and this goes deep into what I talk about, scaling authenticity. Actually, let's go into that because this does really lead towards the importance of reviews and how you get more reviews. authenticity is a huge part of business. And it's something that gets lost oftentimes as we scale. When you're small, when you're mom and pop, it's easier to be authentic because it's you, the owner, usually talking to the customer, right? And as the owner, you have more passion, you're more excited, there's a lot more to it than a sales guy. And so you're able to have personal relationships with your customers. You'll know this because the customers say stuff like, oh, I have my HVAC guy. They might not even know the name of your company. They just know you, and you're their HVAC guy, right? And so it's like, oh, cool, I'm a really good businessman because I have all these great customers and I take care of them. But the moment you go to scale and you start hiring, it's harder to now have that level of authenticity and make people have those same feelings and that same level of trust. And you start to see them go, oh, they're too corporate. They're cold and corporate. They're just all about making money. And you lose that kind of vibe, if that makes sense. And so the way that we found that you can scale this authenticity is through technology. Okay. So what's really cool, and this is something that I did, I did with the windshield repair course, was I recorded a video of me talking about windshield repair, and then I would send that out to everybody. So it's like I do this pitch, and I say, hey, I'm talking to my phone or whatever, and I say, hey, this is a really great business. I'd love to coach you and teach you how to do it, And now I can send that video in a text message to thousands of people and get a similar effect, right? Because I couldn't pick up the phone and call all 1,000 people, but I could send the text and use that same video, and it's doing the work for me. And so when somebody schedules a call, you can't pick up the phone as the owner every time and go, hey, it's Ryan with Wasatch Heating and Air. Thank you so much for booking. I really appreciate it. That's like, you couldn't do that just physically. You want to, it'd be great if you could, but you can't because it's just, you'd be doing that. If you scale, that's hundreds of times a day that you're calling people, right? But if you do a video and you say, hey, it's Ryan with Wasatch Heating and Air. I just wanted to say thank you so much for booking with us. This is a family-owned business. Maybe you have your wife with you and your kids or something that's like, just shows who you are as the owner and just says, we just can't thank you enough for doing business with us. And then you say something along these lines. You say, we are looking forward to providing you with 5-star service. And we're really excited to show you that our company, that you can trust our company. And you kind of just give them this, you're seeding the idea of a review all the way at the beginning, right? And now they're already in their heads going, oh, this is great. This is cool. I like this guy. The vibe is positive. And now they're going to be, what's great about that is they shift into the mindset of, like kind of this, like, I'm going to watch for this guy to make mistakes, to I'm cool if he makes mistakes because I like this guy, so I'm going to be more forgiving if something does happen. Does that make sense? You're kind of shifting from how it is. Like if you go to your favorite restaurant and you love the people, if they make a mistake, you're going to be like, oh, that's not that. I know it's okay. It's fine. But if you're going into it negative, in a negative mindset, like, oh, this place is going to suck, every little thing that happens, you're going to nitpick at it and be like, oh, service was slow. Oh, this was that. And it's all about their mindset. And so if we can get their mindset into, oh, I like these guys already, now they're going to look for the good in your technician. And if something bad happens, they're going to be much more likely, I'm not saying they're going to always do that, but if something bad happens, they're going to be more likely to be more forgiving and have a better attitude about it. And then at the end, we're going to reach back out and we'll say, we're so glad we could provide you with service today. We're so grateful that you let us into your home to fix your air conditioner. We'd love it if you'd leave us a review here. Click the link. And so now we're doing that thing that everybody's like, oh, send a link. Of course we want to send the link. But we've prepared them through the journey for that moment. Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah.
And so when people call, does that automatically opt them into like the SMS, like text? Or how does that work?
We'll go in. You can, like if you book a demo with us or talk to any of my team, we'll go into like legalities and different things. And and how that all works. And there's different types of messaging that goes out. There's marketing messages versus communication. And if somebody's communicating with you, you can communicate with them. And there's a lot of legal stuff that you do have to make sure you're following, and we help you make sure that you're following that stuff. And but yeah, I don't go too much into it on the podcast just because it's legal and boring. But on the demo, rest assured, we'll go through any questions you have about your area, the legalities behind it, and whether or not you can be doing it, and how often you can be doing it, and what you can say and what you can't say. There's lots of stuff, but we'll go over that for sure. So
Perfect. And so we're kind of talking about the short term, like follow up, like you want to hit some sort of message in their inbox within a minute. But
Yep.
for longer term things, like maybe sending, Christmas messages, things like that to remind you. I don't know how that would work for like a water damage restoration company or like windshield repair, because that's like, you're fixing the problem.
Yep.
There's really not much else.
Yeah.
How does that look per industry, and which industries do you see performing best for something like that?
Yeah, obviously in like an emergency type business where you have restoration, where it's like, hey, we're calling you because our house is on fire kind of situation, right? Illustrated,
Merry
right?
Christmas.
Not necessarily on fire, not necessarily on fire, but just there's an emergency, right? A pipe burst or something, something that's like really pressing. That's obviously going to be front end lead conversion, where it's like you got to be sure you're contacting those leads very quickly, all of that. Nurturing, and so the long term, it's hard to reach out and be like, hey, did your house burn down this year? Like it's not, it doesn't work like that, right? And so for those businesses, the longer term nurture is different unless you have a service element to your business. Some of those companies do carpet cleaning and some other things, so there's reaching out for that kind of stuff. Windshield repair, you can kind of, we could take the average and say most cars in your state get like 2 chips a year or 1 chip a year. So annually we can reach out and say, hey, did you get any damage this year that needs to be repaired? And so that works. But like HVAC, plumbing, electrical, carpet cleaning, pest control, these service-based businesses that do require return, those are very good for nurturing throughout the year, right? HVAC, you can do filter change reminders. Quarterly, hey, it's time to change your filter. Hey, it's Christmas, Merry Christmas. All these different things just to stay top of mind. And we're going to do that through text message, email, voicemail. We're going to do it shoulder season. Hey, it's been a while since we've been out, or reach back out to past customers that we haven't serviced in a while. And so, there's definitely post-job when it comes, and again, this comes to the industry, but there's post-job follow-up that nurtures and keeps you top of mind. And what's important about that is people, we think about HVAC if you're an HVAC owner, you think about HVAC all day, every day. That's what you do. And you forget that people don't think about that stuff at all, right? They think about it when it breaks or whatever. They're not thinking about it. And so if you don't have a deep relationship, if you haven't struck that like balance of communication to stay top of mind, they might forget. They might have had a really good experience with you, but they might just forget the name of your company. It's like, and they just go to Google and be like HVAC near me, and they just go to the next guy, and it's like, oh, you just lost a customer because you didn't stay top of mind with them. Whereas if you had sent an occasional filter change reminder, an occasional follow up, they're gonna go, oh yeah, my guy, yeah, I'm gonna text him, right? And get you back on. So even though you might send out a filter change reminder that's not a sales message, it's like, hey, it's just that time of year, it's the time of the season to change your filter. Just wanted to remind you. They might go, oh, dude, you know what? My thing's been loud. My machine, my furnace has been loud. And they text back, hey, my furnace is loud. Can you guys come take a look? Oh, there you go. So
Perfect.
Yeah.
And so from your experience, obviously, like you have a ton of data on, what types of things you're sending and like opt-out rates. What are the worst types of messages and worst frequencies to like hit homeowners with after they worked with that company? I hope I'm wording that right.
So marketing, I try to stay away from quote unquote marketing messages. We talked about scaling authenticity. we want to be authentic with our customers, and you can do that, and you can strike this balance. And this is where spam comes in, and this is where you can get yourself in trouble. But like sending out messages that are clearly like a marketing material, I don't like that. I think it's if you say, hey, the next 10 people that respond will get 10% off their furnace filter or their furnace tune-up, it's like so spammy and just obnoxious, and it's taking advantage of the relationship you have to be able to text that customer, and they're going to feel taken advantage of, and they're going to opt out, right? But if you say something like, hey, Will, it's Ryan. We serviced your furnace last year, and it's time again now to get it done. We'd love to come out and get you set up. Does tomorrow work for you? That's a communication message versus a marketing message. It's not an offer as far as like 10% off for the next 20 minutes or whatever. It's personal. It's just me talking to you. That's where you're going to get the highest conversion. People are craving like human connectivity. They're craving actual people. As much as like we love AI and like automation and all this stuff, like people are tired of feeling like they're being sold to constantly. And so you have to strike that balance. We have to sell. We have to do it. But you can do it in a way that's more personal, it's more authentic, and you'll have a better relationship long term with the customer.
So after you send that text where you're asking if they're interested in some sort of service without necessarily marketing, but just saying, hey, like we're concerned about you or you're due for this service, what do you do after the yes?
They say yes. There's multiple ways that we do this. We do have AI that will continue the conversation and book them. So you say, great, how does tomorrow work? Yeah, cool. And then like it'll book them to your calendar.
That's awesome.
Some people don't want to take it that far. They get the yes and they hand it off to the customer service rep, and then the customer service rep calls and books them. It's all or texts them manually. It's all dependent on how you want to operate your company. And like some people are finding like this balance between automation and human interaction. I'm kind of skeptical about somebody that says we want to get rid of all the humans and just do automation, because people are going to start seeing through that. But if you can find the balance so that the CSRs are only spending time on high-level stuff like booking jobs and stuff, they're not doing the redundant, repetitive stuff, you'll get more out of them and more out of your automation. So you're striking a blend between human interaction and automation, and it's. And so when they say yes, at that point the CSR can take over and just go, okay, great, how's tomorrow? Or like I said, AI can do that as well. So it just depends on how you want to operate your company.
Perfect. And so I believe you guys are doing like text, email, and then I also heard that like potentially flyers in the future. How do you make sure, like what is the line between hitting someone too hard with messages, things like that, and not enough? Like where is that sweet spot?
Yeah, so this is something that you have to determine in your own business. Because there's a couple of elements here. There's number one, your business strikes a certain personality. Even if you're not trying to, your business has a persona, and it has a location, a geographical location with certain types of people. And so everywhere is going to be different. Some people, like, let's just do like an easy example just to kind of illustrate. New Yorkers are going to be like a more aggressive type of person, right? You get maybe California, they're going to be a little more chill. And so you have to determine in your business by testing how aggressive is too aggressive, right? And you want to find that balance. We have a guy, I had a guy say to me, he's like our what's the word for it? Our SOP, our standard operating procedure, our way of doing things is we do one of two things. We either reach them or we get a restraining order. Like that's the two outcomes. We're either going to close them or we're going to get a restraining order. Like that's how aggressive he wants to be. I certainly do not condone that or say or I'm not recommending that you do that. I'm just saying some people like to be more aggressive, some people like to be less. But I can't say what's going to be right for your business because of the different factors and the things that go into it. It's going to take testing. We do have some really great campaigns pre-built, ready to go, that work across the board, but you'll then take those and tweak and add or take away from them to make sure that they're, fitting to your business. But yeah, we don't, when somebody does sign up for Chirp, we don't just go, hey, good luck, figure it out. We have a lot of pre-built stuff to start from, and then we can add to it as we go. So.
Perfect. And at what point does the CSR get involved, like depending on the situation? Like if it's an abandoned call, you're sending the text, are they also calling? Or how does that look from a CSR perspective?
So that's another thing where you can add. So in a funnel, so if we talk about this customer journey, in a funnel, we have various steps along this follow-up sequence that can do different things. So like let's say an estimate goes out and we follow up with a text message and they don't respond. We can also follow up with an email. We can follow up with a pre-recorded voicemail. And we can also put a task that says, okay, now reach out and actually call them. And so you can determine how many times or where you want, like what do you want to have happen? How do you want this follow-up sequence to work? Like for me, in one of my businesses, my thing is follow up for 3 days with text message, send a voicemail, wait a week, and then three more messages. That seemed to be what struck the thing with the windshield repair and that kind of stuff. That's going to be different for other people. So you would figure out your sequence. It's like maybe it's 5 days of follow up and then take a break and then a couple days just to try, and then maybe we've had guys that say like I have a 3 week message that goes out that just says, hey, just try in one last time. And they'll get deals off of that 3 week. And then we have like guys that'll do like a annual thing where it's like, okay, if they don't convert here, let's put them into a 6 month drip where every 6 months we're hitting them up for a little while. And they'll like a 6 month text will go out and say, hey, a while back you reached out about a problem you're having. Were you able to get that fixed? And there's just the occasion where the guy goes, you know what? I'm ready now, and you get the deal. But if you hadn't sent that text out, you wouldn't have ever got it. So.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of CSRs, they kind of have their noses in whether it's Service Titan or House Call Pro or whatever CRM they're using. Do you guys have your own dashboard to notify them when to do these things, or how does that look?
Yeah, the dashboard's all there, and you can display like the funnel and the different steps and how often you want to be reaching out. And like if you're doing tasks and you want to have them alerted when it's time to call them or whatever, you can have all that stuff. Yeah, there's a pretty robust dashboard for that.
Awesome. And then for business owners in particular, one of the things that I like with my clients is having them listen into the phone calls with CSRs, whether it's through local service ads or some sort of like call tracking software. And I feel like they learn a ton and like kind of glean information about what their CSR may be doing right or wrong. Is your software able to identify a CSR who might not be a quote unquote A player, or how does that look?
Right now it's manual, but we are developing AI that's going to start looking at conversations, the text message conversations, and determining, what could be better. And so that's something that AI is definitely helping with. We're not there yet, but that's on the roadmap. So,
I love that. How crucial do you think a CSR is going to be in the future for this stuff to work? Do you think they're going to get phased out a little bit more? Do you think they're going to be still like a core aspect of the business? How do you see that kind of?
Yeah, it's scary to say. There's definitely like a lot of things that software can do to replace CSR. I don't like the idea of saying, hey, we're going to eliminate this. See, I think that the human brain is extremely important, and it's a very valuable asset for a company to have. What I think is going to happen, and I hope is going to happen, is that this elevates CSRs to a higher level, where right now they're doing things that are kind of redundant and easy to do, and we're not really taking advantage of what their brains can really produce. And so they're going to be hopefully forced upwards, so that now they're the ones managing the software, and they're managing the AI stuff, and they're doing all and they're having to think and do more things that are higher level. And so instead of forcing them out, I'm hoping it's forcing them up, if that makes sense.
100%. one of the things that you kind of mentioned earlier, and the thing you said you wanted to talk about in this podcast is mindset. And I
Yep.
feel like in the trades or home service in particular, there's the business owners like Tommy Mello who are like, let me get every single number I can possibly get my hands on and optimize everything and do whatever I have to do to grow and scale this company. And then there's I don't want to call them smaller because these can be like, 1 million, 2 million plus
Yeah.
businesses that just don't think they need this stuff and don't really see the benefit of it. I don't know if it's a motivation issue. I'm honestly just curious to hear your thoughts, what you
Yeah.
think that problem is.
The problem with that mindset of good enough, like I only need to work this hard and only need to do this much. The problem is there's going to be another guy that's going to be a Tommy Mello that's going to go, nope, I'm going to do more, and I'm going to take over, and I'm going to, and so you kind of have to, you do have to strike a balance. You don't want to be the guy you don't have to be the guy that just kills yourself to win, but you do need to have ambition to grow, and you do need to be consistently improving, and over time, and this comes down to like you as a human being, like if you find yourself that if you find that you're lazy and you're not excited about it, there may be a deeper core issue that you should be thinking about. So, like Tommy's big on health, and he's shifted my mindset on health. I was under the mindset of, oh, I'm too focused on my business to worry about health. And the mindset shift for me has been, if you're not focused on health, your business will suffer, period. And it's all one big thing that has to be maintained and worked on. And so I say, if you find that you're being lazy, is it possible that you have some health issues that you could be working on that would help you be less lazy? Are you eating better? Could you be eating better? Could you be exercising? So there's mindset for me when it comes to entrepreneurship. This goes back to me being passionate about entrepreneurship. It shouldn't be that, like, if you're an entrepreneur, it's not your job to do HVAC. That's your passion, and you're fulfilling your station as an entrepreneur, right? And so you should be going, how can I be a better entrepreneur for my HVAC business? And so the entrepreneur is the guy that's going, okay, like if this is my tool, if my body and my mind are my tool, how do I maintain that tool better? How do I make it better? I need my mind to be sharp, so I need to be eating the right foods. I need to be exercising, and just like you would maintain your tools on your truck, you need to maintain your tool as an entrepreneur and go to the core level and not just go, oh, it's just my job, it's my 9 to 5 to show up to work. You're an owner. You get greater benefits as an owner, and so you have greater responsibility that comes with that. So
You mentioned PE coming in and like Google ads, whatever ad platform you're running paid ads on, it's only going to get more and more expensive as these companies with big money pop themselves into markets and just like drive everyone else out. How important is it to own your own lists? Is Chirp able to like organize those lists and like categorize them? I guess the main question is, how important is it to own your own audience or own your own customers going into 2025 and onwards?
yeah, that's huge, and we do in Chirp. You can segment, and it's a full CRM for your customers and all of that. Your list is only as good as how well you maintain it, right? You can have a list of contacts that you've serviced. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're your customers, because you haven't earned them as your lifelong customers because you haven't done anything. Maybe you went out and did a service for them and you have them in your system, but you're not doing anything else. And so, yeah, once, as you establish and you'll see Tommy and these other guys, they're putting stickers on garage, by the garage door opener, and they're doing everything they can to own the customer. And so you've got to do all those things you can't rely on the customer to remember you. You need to do all the things to stay top of mind and maintain your list. And we have guys come into Chirp all the time that go, oh yeah, I have 20,000 contacts in there that I haven't communicated with in a couple of years. And it's like, dude, so you're going to go pay money to advertise to get those people to opt back in and request information. You already have them. You don't need to pay the money on Google to get their attention. You've got their attention. You need to just know how to do it. And so, yes, owning your list and maintaining that is your moat. That's how you build a moat around your business. Because, if you can create loyalty with your customers, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if some private equity guy comes along, because they're loyal to you. They're going to stick with you. And as long as you can keep your prices at least reasonable, it's going to be hard for those companies to pull them away. But loyalty will only go so far if you're not keeping up your end.
And so, is it true that you guys plan on introducing flyers on top of all the other
direct
stuff?
mail? Yeah, that's definitely. We have integrations with direct mail, and we have been kicking around the idea of automating a direct mail through it's definitely something we really want to do. It's just there are so many things with AI right now that we're having to pour a lot of resources into that, and so we definitely want to. It's on the list. It's just a matter of getting through this AI boom right now. So
Yeah, well, I just like that because I feel like any other software CEO would just look at direct mail and be like, that's too much. I don't want to have to learn how all that works and
it's really
find
good.
out how to.
Yeah, it's really
Love
good.
that.
It works. And what's funny is right now is we've gone through a cycle of direct mail where it was, for a long time, there was too much junk mail, and we're kind of getting back now to where you can get the attention through direct mail again. So
Perfect. And I feel like direct mail is a great tool for reaching new audiences, especially audiences that you've already identified. You know that they are your ideal client, and then you hit them multiple times with different varying mail pieces. Are you guys doing any sort of outreach, or is it even, and we don't have to get into legal talk again, but can you do cold outreach through SMS? How does that look? Do you guys do it through email? Have you seen it work? What's your thoughts there?
that's the one thing I will say. You can't, with text messaging, you don't want to be texting lists that are not opted in, right? Where you didn't get permission or they haven't contacted you. If you're buying a list and texting them, that's where you can get yourself into serious trouble. And so I wouldn't ever recommend buying a list and then texting that list. The option there are, direct mail is one way to do that, where you can buy lists for direct mail. Email, it's technically against the rules, but email is definitely not as risky. But it's hard to just do to do email and to cold audiences. You got to play the game. You got to play the game of paid marketing, getting their attention, getting them to opt in. But direct mail is definitely one that you can look at. My sister-in-law's doing she does a mailer where and I think she's just starting this. I have to ask her about it, but where they have a 9x12 postcard, and then they're splitting up different ad space on that card, so that you're not bearing the cost of sending out the 9x12 by yourself. So you might have an HVAC company, a pest control company, a restaurant, a local, and different ads on this one card that goes out. So there's different ways you could do it that way.
I heard those work super well for new homeowners. You just send them a list of all the companies.
Yeah.
They put it on their fridge or something.
Exactly. Yep. And then the key is having an easy way for them to contact you. So a good thing now is QR code, phone number, and then obviously following up with those leads as they come in. So
perfect. How does voicemail play into all of this?
Voicemail is another layer of communication that is another personal way. We have pre-recorded voice. You can pre-record your voice and send it to the voicemail. So that's another way just to get in the inbox. Another angle. It's good because because it puts a voice to the text messages you're sending out. You can say, hey, it's Ryan with Wasatch Heating and Air. Just wanted to let you know we're going to be in the area this week doing some tune-ups. Would love to come by and get you done. Stuff like that, So.
Perfect. When it comes to integrations, I feel like that's a huge issue with any sort of like new software, new tool. Like you want to know that it integrates with your CRM, and then there's like a million different other things that people are using. I feel like you guys are kind of combating that by building an all-in-one solution for many different things, kind of packaging everything together, giving it to companies so they don't have to worry too much about like setting up custom, Zapier integrations or Make, whatever.
Yeah.
How flexible is Chirp when it comes to working with all these different types of CRMs, like aside from ServiceTitan and House Call Pro?
Yeah, so the idea is we're integrated with lots of these platforms, Jobber, House Call Pro, ServiceTitan, Sarah. There's like Workies, Field Polls, Field Routes, all these different ones. But I'm looking at the board of some of our new integrations that are coming up. But the key is, we don't want to come to you and say, hey, you got to stop what you're doing now and switch over to us. Like you got to get rid of ServiceTitan and come use us. That's not what we're trying to do. We want to trigger things to happen automatically in the background of what you're already doing so that you're not having to change too much and think about it. So when an estimate goes out in ServiceTitan, it's automatically telling Chirp, hey, a new estimate went out. It had this much value. It was this much. It had these tags, this business unit, this job type, whatever it is. Follow up with them. And so if they don't convert into a sale, Chirp's going to start automatically following up. If they do convert it into a sale, it's going to automatically stop the follow-up. So it's recognizing from your CRM when and what to start and when to stop it.
I love that. So you definitely don't want to say, like right after someone bought something.
Yeah, exactly.
You're interested in buying the same thing.
Yeah, this was a big problem. Was people would have these sequences, and they would progressively add a bigger discount. Like, right, they go, hey, we can offer you a 10% discount. And it's like they just sold them, and then a day later, because I say, hey, would you like a 10% discount? And they're like, yeah, I want the 10% discount. And you're like, oh, crap.
Oh, man.
So
yeah, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we would have kept going down.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait a few more days, and you're at 25%.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yep.
Awesome. I don't know. I feel like I covered most of the things we wanted to talk about. Is there anything else, like any other topics you think are like important to go over?
No, I think we did a great job. I think we're probably, an hour is definitely a good amount of time for people to absorb this stuff. I think it's been really good for anybody that like is interested or wants to talk about this stuff. We're like a really low pressure, like organization. Our goal is to partner with home service companies and like help them implement automation. And so when we do a demo, we're going over like how this can improve their business. We're looking at their systems, showing them where they can do it. And so you can do a demo with us. You can go to chirp.com, CHIIRP.com, book a demo, and let my guys dive in and see where you could improve. And then from there we determine if it's going to be a good fit. So it's a low pressure, just like consultative look at how you're doing things now. So
love that. And where can people find more about you?
So you can add me as a friend on Facebook, Ryan Fenn. Also, if you ever wanted to reach me directly, my email is ryan@chirp.com. But I spend, as far as social media goes, I spend a lot of time on Facebook. That's where kind of my tribe is. I post a lot of stuff there, mindset stuff. I really like to talk about, the entrepreneur's journey and different things. So connect with me. Even if you're not interested in Chirp, we have a podcast as well that's not Chirp related. It's about mindset and different things. So, find me there and let's connect.
What's that podcast called?
Win Your Mind, Win Your Market.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah. Ryan, thank you so much, man. I love talking about this stuff.
Thank you, Will. Appreciate it. Had a great time.